What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to review the month of January 2023 for games. We had talked about leading into this month how it was going to be pretty big, all at the end, right? Once we get to, in my opinion, once we got to the Persona Day, Persona 3 and Persona 4 Golden, that was the kickoff to a really busy month, and a month that will hopefully carry throughout the entire year, right? February's looking pretty big. March, April, May, we got some big games coming. So we've talked about each of these games individually. I just want to do a pretty quick rundown, but knowing now what we got, from each of these games. Now, technically, One Piece Odyssey was the first, what I would probably classify as major game that released. Now, I did not play it. I have watched reviews, specifically Mr. Maddie Plays, and it seems like it's been a relatively good success. People seem to generally like it. I don't have too much to say on it because I skipped it. It really was, for me, this start of Persona 3 and the Persona 4 Golden that released on the same day. Now, I had played Golden back in the PS Vita days, and I didn't get to it yet. I absolutely will. My plan is Persona 3 and 4 Golden are going to kind of be the games that I jump in and out of throughout the year, taking as long as I really care to, I guess, to beat these games, because I'll be, jumping in between the other new releases. So I didn't do Golden yet, re-released. I did do Persona 3. I had never, once played it. I'm liking it. I think it's got a pretty slow start, and I've only played about 4 or 5 hours of it, so I'm kind of only at the start, right? But it is good. With Persona, it seems like they're just always able to nail characters. I think characters are kind of the game's strength, always has been, always will be, hopefully, right, for Persona 6. And I get the same sense and Persona 3 is over a decade old, right? An older game, and still, as soon as these characters enter the screen, you see them, you hear them, you say, I like you. I think you're a cool character, and it just goes from there. So I hope that game was a success. I don't have any sales figures or anything for that one, but I do hope people like it. Golden really was the jumping on point for a lot of people on the Persona fandom. And then the next day we had Monster Hunter Rise being released pretty much across the board, right? PS5, PS4, Xbox's PC, also being on Game Pass. And we also had Fire Emblem Engage. Now, I have a close friend of mine who's played Fire Emblem who absolutely adores it. That's another one that hopefully I'll be able to jump into in between other things, but it seems from everything that I've personally seen that the game is pretty darn good. And then Monster Hunter Rise, I kind of just skipped over. I know how popular it is, I know how much it's sold, and how much people really genuinely like that game. It's gonna have to be a game that maybe I'll jump into, I don't know, down the road. But again, cool that not only does it come out on all of these platforms, but much like Persona 3 and 4 Golden, also comes out, on Game Pass. So we have that. Then we skip a few days later, and we got the big controversial one, Forspoken, right? Now, I haven't played enough of it to render a final verdict, a review, let's say, of it, but it was definitely a game that was split. I think originally what you saw was a lot of people really going after it, and I'm not dissing if you have actual complaints of it, actual criticisms. That's by all means. I'm not here to bow down to the game, but it was initially very, very negative for Forspoken, right? I feel like as time has gone on, as the days have gone on, the game has become more of it wasn't that bad. Did you actually play it? Because it's not that bad. I feel like it's kind of in that mindset. Myself personally, I kind of am in that boat. I don't think it's a good game by any stretch. I think there's elements that are good, but I don't think overall it's good. But I definitely do not think it's as bad as people were saying. I think there's much worse games out there that can fit that bill than what people were saying. But to each their own, and that's totally fine. Then we had the stealth drop, the hi-fi rush of the world. And no, truly, this game was absolutely phenomenal. I did a full review for this game on the main channel, and I think it's right now it's my game of the year. Now, yes, I've only played 5 games so far this year, so take that for what you will. But for a game of this size to just drop out of nowhere, right? And then for it to just we kind of had a little bit of a lead up to it. There was a rumor that it existed, but we didn't really know what kind of game it was. And then it came out and it blew me away. So, we leave January. Here's the funny story. You leave January, and in my opinion, the best game that came out of January was not a game we knew of going in, right? So when I did my month preview, Forspoken, Dead Space, SpongeBob, right? These kind of these bigger hits. And then the best game, in my opinion, was a game that wasn't even, announced. We didn't even know about until that day, which is absolutely, insane. And then we had Dead Space, and I should just say this, and I'll say it for everything so we kind of just cover all bases. I was given review codes for the 3 of them. Forspoken, Dead Space, and SpongeBob, I got review codes for the 3. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt or whatever you want to do. But Dead Space released, and it is phenomenal. It is one of the best remakes out there. It was was everything that I think we hoped it would be and wanted it to be. Again, when you look at the month going in and you say, okay, Forspoken, flip a coin, right? Dead Space, well, hopefully it's really, really good. It'd be pretty hard to mess it up. Yet again, it's probably been done. And then you had SpongeBob, right? But that was what we thought going in, and I think Dead Space absolutely nailed it. And even now, okay, so we're looking at the calendar, right? January 30th. So technically this still has to come out tomorrow, but we still have SpongeBob. And there's a few other games, by the way, that do come out both tomorrow and also games I've kind of skipped over. These were some of the bigger hits that, again, I was looking forward to as we were about to go into the month. Now, I just did a full review of SpongeBob on my main channel today, so if you want to get my full 10-minute thoughts, I did a full review. I really like it. The review scores for it, not so good, not so high. Thought they'd be higher. Yet again, with the review scores, I talk about them so often, they're kind of hit or miss, right? Don't go necessarily based off review scores in your life, but honestly, the month was kind of everything that we had hoped it would be. I really think so. Forspoken, I think to some people really was good. I think some people really enjoyed it. I think to some people maybe it was a disappointment, but I think a lot of people, I don't know, I kind of feel like Forspoken landed where people thought it would land depending on them, right? So if you went in thinking that, I'm not saying that it can't change your mind. I'm not saying that, but general perception of what I've seen, Forspoken kind of was the game we thought it was going to be, and it depends on each individual. Dead Space also, I think, was on the high end of what we thought that game was going to be. Persona, by the way, going backwards, Persona was just a fun ride, and you should play it if you're a Persona fan, but more of a new age one. And then you got SpongeBob, which I personally think is a really, really good game. I guess I may be in the minority in that one. So, good month. Started very late, took a while, but once we got going, you get all those, however many games that was, 5-6 games, in about the span of a week and a half, 2 weeks. So really quickly, all at once. Now we go into February, and there's some big ones in February. It's a little bit less. I'd say it's more quality over quantity, and then March is kind of both, but we'll see how it goes. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know also, what games did you play? Did you play any new games that came out in January? Leave it in the comments. We can talk about it. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I'll see you all on the next one.